Hi, I'm John Biggs with TechCrunch Makers. When we started this series, we got a lot of cool emails from a lot of cool people. But the guys inside, they're making flying, seeing robots in their basement. Let's check them out. So we're here with Geoff Barrows of Centeye. Tell us where we are right now.
We are located in my basement in Washington, D.C.
And what are you guys doing down here? You have 3 engineers working on what you initially described as sort of sentient helicopters almost. and we got really excited and we came down here, but what you're really working on is essentially computer eyes, right?
Well, essentially we do obviously do a lot of work with drones, small little flying micro drones that we'll show you, but really we're more about the eyes of the drone than the drone itself.
Mm-hmm. So the drones have eyes based on or brain based on an insect, I guess you said.
That's right. So what we're trying to do is to take ideas from insects. I like to say steal IP from Mother Nature. Mm-hmm. Take ideas from insects. How do they see the world? How do they process the visual environment? And see if we can actually implement it in chips and hardware and implement it into a drone.
And what kind of resolution are these little cameras? They're fairly small, right?
Very, very small. So a typical sensor has maybe on the order of several thousand pixels, sometimes even less, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, but you have to consider that a fruit fly has maybe around 400 pixels. Dragonflies have maybe 10,000 pixels. So they can live their whole life and do everything an animal does with just that low resolution. It's proof you don't need a megapixel to do some interesting things.
Mm-hmm. What are some commercial applications, I guess, of this technology?
Oh gosh, there are plenty. Obviously, drones, flying drones is an application area. Toys, I would love to see these things flying on RC toys that your son could play with. Mm-hmm. Robots, eyes in the hand of a robot and legs of a robot. I envision these devices being scattered throughout a room or an environment to monitor, see what's going on. Really, I see this as being the eyes of the Internet of Things. Forgive me for throwing out a buzzword, mm-hmm. but Web 3.0, so to speak.
So you're doing some work with DARPA, but you're also doing work with open source hardware?
That's right. So most of our funding in the past has come from DARPA and the Air Force, but more recently we're also expanding into open source hardware type of movements, type of hardware.
So what's that thing there?
This is what we call an Ardueye. It's an experimental product, and what this really is an Arduino Pro Mini that we've modified, or a clone of an Arduino Pro Mini. That we have added our own image sensor to, an optics, a lens, and a few other components. And so what this is basically an Arduino with a camera embedded with it. It weighs about 1 gram, but you can program it like an Arduino. You can use it like an Arduino. And because it is an Arduino clone, it's very easy to hack. And so the goal is really to get these out into other people's hands and see what other people can do with them.
And you've been building these things down here for quite a while, but what's changed in the past that's, I guess, allowed you to manufacture these sorts of drones and more interesting objects than in the past? Has the fabrication systems changed?
The fabrication systems has changed. It has gotten easier to make nice analog circuits because we do actually use analog circuits as opposed to digital circuits on these components. We've learned a lot more about how to do things. That's a big factor. And actually the cost of doing a larger fab is a lot less than it used to be. So for example, we can actually produce a batch of several thousand chips for about $20,000. And that may sound like a lot of money for a typical maker type of project, but once you divide that by the amount of chips you get, really you're talking about several dollars per chip.
Okay. So you guys are essentially going to take on Intel down here over time.
We shall see.
All right, perfect. So this has been TechCrunch Makers. I'm John Biggs with Geoff Barrows of Centeye. Thank you for watching.